Hello and welcome to Sitecore for Content Managers. I'm Sean and this is Lesson 5, Managing the Content Tree. In this lesson I want to cover adding items using insert options. I want to show how to duplicate items, how to move and sort items in the content tree, renaming items and the rules around item names, searching your content using content search, and working with aliases. All right, let's go into Sitecore and we'll begin. I'm just going to log in as the content author role that we've been using. So here we are, the Launchpad. Let's go to the content editor. So this is the site we've been working on. Let me just bring it up. From last time, it's one-page site, and there's a simple content page as well. And that should be, we have a page. Looks like we don't. I have been playing around with this. I'm just going to republish the entire site. Just make sure we're in a sane place here. There we go. So we have that one page, our privacy policy. Okay, so let's start with adding items. So there's a concept in Sitecore called insert options, which can be set up by your developers to allow a content author to insert from a right click on an item sub-items. So in this case, you can see that the home page is set up to allow folders beneath it or leaf pages. In this case, I've got one folder, this data folder with all of our USPs that are used by the home page, and this privacy page that we just saw. And it's a leaf page. Just one thing to note on this page, and we've seen this before with some of our items in here, there's no workflow on this page. So we're not going to go through the whole submit and approval flow for pages. It's just going to be the lock and edit and unlock. So if I wanted to, I could right click, for example, and insert another leaf page. And I'm going to call this one policies. So this is going to be a landing page for all of the policies in the site. And you can see that Sitecore has locked it for me to make updates. So what I'm going to do is going to open the banner, and let's just get a banner in here. These are the default images. I'm just going to go to our banner images and pick this one. And then I'm going to put some basic content in here. So a little bit more rich text work. I'll keep it really simple though. Welcome to our policies. Please review following documents. And then I'm going to hit this link, insert Sitecore link. That brings up the tree, and I'm going to link to the privacy page. So if I right click on this link, there's a context menu and I can hit properties. And I'm going to use privacy policy instead of the default. And we can even open in another window if we want. So that's a little bit more on how to use rich text. So now we've got a bit of text in our page, and I'm going to just unlock this right here. Prompts me to save. Okay, remember we don't have a workflow, so I'm going to have to publish this item. So let's do a smart publish, publish related. What a smart publish does is it just tries to publish only the things that it recognizes as changes and not everything. So it's more efficient than a full publish. So now we've got a policies page. It should be published. Let's just see if this works. So we should be able to get to it like that. Yep, there's our page. Got our title and our image, and then this rich text that I added, and a link to our privacy policy. And that's great, but what I'd like to do is group all of the policies, because there will be more, underneath this policies main page. So what I'm going to do is select the privacy policy, and I'm just going to drag it, click and drag it until I see this underline. I'm just going to let go of it, and then I should get a message that says, do you want to move privacy after policies? I say okay. Okay, that wasn't right. That was a sorting operation. I need to hover right over top. Do I want to move it to policies? There we go. Not after. That's just a sorting. This is actually going to nest it underneath. So now we can see that privacy is under policies. And if I go to this link, I'll have to publish that. So I'm going to select policies, and I'm going to publish all sub-items. So now this new hierarchy should be published. So if I go to this page, so it's not found anymore because we've moved it. So there's a structure here now. I have to go to policies/privacy. So you can see how this URL structure maps to the content structure. So the privacy policy is now underneath policies. And if I go to policies, it's still there. And I click on that link and it takes me here. So now that there's an extra layer. So we're going to do another thing. We're going to rename this. We're going to call it privacy policy. So that's how you do a rename. There are only there's a limited number of characters that you can put into a URL. For example, we can't use any special characters like a $sign or %. Right, if we do that, we get this error, not a valid name. Numbers are allowed, and you can see I've used them here. But really, I would stick to stick to characters and numbers, no special characters. I believe dashes are also allowed. Right? And Sitecore will add dashes if you want in place of your spaces. And that's something that developers can set up. So we've renamed this item. I'm just going to publish from here. So now we've got policies. Now if we go to this page, it's broken. So we'll just go back. So we're going to need to fix our link. If we go to privacy policy, our page works. And you can see I don't have Sitecore set up to replace spaces. It's just escaping them. So that's something I can do. Okay, so if we go back to our page, we'll just lock this item, fix our link. Okay, so it's broken. So let's just place it with this one. If we go into this item, you can see I'm actually surprised that that caused a problem, that rename. So let's lock this. Let's go to our policies page, check our link. Okay, so we're back in action. So I'm just going to add another item under our policies, another leaf page. So you can see here when I right click, I don't have the option to add a folder. So folders have not been allowed underneath leaf items, but other leaf items are. So let's use that and create a terms of use page. So now we've got terms of use, and you can see that Sitecore has been set up, this item has been set up to automatically fill the title in based on whatever item name is used. This can be overridden, but it's a default behavior that's been created. And this is something that your developers would do. So let me just pick our generic banner. That could also be defaulted, so I don't have to re-add it every time. So I'm just going to steal this content from here just to make this faster. So I'm going to grab all this HTML and go into here. So this is not really legitimate terms of use content, but just for explanation purposes, I'm just going to unlock these and let's publish from here everything underneath. So now we've got a terms of use page. So if I go terms of use, there we go. So what I'm going to do is add another link to that page from our policies page. And let's just add a link underneath, terms of use. Save changes, unlock, publish. Now if we go to policies. Okay, so that's our new page. So that was there was a bit of work involved with creating that page, and it was really almost all the same content as the privacy policy. So another way we can quickly create content is by duplicating items. So I'm just going to pick the privacy policy. I'm going to hit right click on it and hit duplicate. So this is going to create a new item for us, a duplicate of the privacy policy. So I'm just going to call this one cookie policy. And now you can see we've got all of the same content as the privacy policy, including the title. So let's change it to cookie policy. We'll leave this banner. It's got all of the privacy policy content in it. And hit save. So now let's just do a preview. Actually, we can preview this one. So here's our new page, the cookie policy. So duplicating can be a quick way to create content, especially if you might not have defaults set up and you just want to use some of the same content across multiple pages. I'm just going to remove this one and then republish. So that's duplicating items. So just one more thing on renaming. If you select the item and hit F2, so I can right click and hit rename. I can just hit F2 and it'll bring up the rename box. All right, let's do a little bit of sorting. So the home page has these USPs, and we'll move this component as well. Has these USPs, and they are in a certain order. Now maybe we want to change the order. We want to control the order of these. So we can do that by rearranging the order of the USPs in the content tree. Okay, so let's just, one thing I wanted to do was move that, and this will be a bit of review if you've done the lesson on presentation details and experience editor. I'm just going to move these content blocks back down underneath our USPs. So let's do that. So if we go to, let's say we want number 1 or number 6 to be in the first position. So if we go to home, you'll see these sorting controls. And we can move an item up, 1, so you can see USPs moved up, 1 position, or we can use these quick sorts to send it right to the top. So now USP 6 is at the very top. Because these have been resorted, I'd recommend publishing from the higher level, just to make sure that you get your order proper. So what Sitecore does, let's just look at this in some detail here. If I go to Appearance, you'll see there's a sort order field. And then if I pick number 1, number 2, as I move down, the sort order gets bigger. So this is the field that Sitecore uses to determine what order these are in. And when you move things around, Sitecore will automatically update this number based on what you're doing. So just to make sure all of the sort orders make sense, I'm going to publish from the parent level. So make sure Publish Sub-Items is selected. So let's do that. Go to our site. It's going to hit F5. So I've published these. I need to publish the home page in order to see the change that we made to the presentation details. So let's do that. Refresh. Okay, so our components move back down, and you can see that Smart Thermostat is now the first item ahead of Smart Devices. You can also move items by dragging. For example, let's take number 4 and make it the second position. You can also make it first by putting it there. You get this blue line appears, indicating we're doing a sort. So number 4 is our smart bulb. So let's publish that. Don't want to publish everything, just this into the sub items. We'll go back here, do a refresh. Smart bulbs are now in second position. So that's moving items. Okay, so let's just take a quick look at content search. I'll go over some of the basics. Just had an example there. So if I type USP, and you can see that I'm currently on the home item. If I pick USP, this quick search just looks through the whole content tree and will return anything with the string USP. It's going into system, it's going to workflows, our content tree, returning all of this content. So this is a quick way to find content. But if you want, you can also search for content within a branch of your content tree. For example, if we pick home and pick this search, and I type USP, enter, it's only returning these items because that's what it found underneath the home item. So this is a great little search for content authors. And then you can see over here we've got facets. So you can use these as additional filters on your search. So if you want to find items with the word USP in them, or content with this string in them that changed in the last week, for example, add that filter and it'll show these ones, and that they were changed by the admin. We can also filter by the author that changed or that worked on these items. So there I've filtered out by author, and we can even filter by template. So the template in this case, all that it found were USP templates. If I type policy, so I type it properly. So we've got a few different templates, right? So leaf pages on our home page. So I can, let's say, show only the leaf pages because the home page has the word policy in the footer. So that's why it's bringing that up. So I can also filter by content type, essentially, which is what templates are in Sitecore. So that's some simple searching, content searching. And let's look at aliases. So I've created this hierarchy of pages. But let's say, and we want to keep this hierarchy, this is how we want to organize our content. But let's say we don't want a URL like the one we have to get to our privacy policy. So if I click on that, I've got this big URL. Maybe we just want a URL like sandbox/privacy, but we want to keep our hierarchy. We don't want to move this page up to home and then rename it privacy, but we want a way to get to it simply. That's what an alias is for. So the way that works is click on the page that you want to create an alias for, go to presentation, and there's this aliases feature. Now this feature is not granted by default to the content author role in Sitecore. You'll have to ask your administrator to give you permissions to this ribbon feature, and that's in the core database. They'll have to go in there and give that to you for you to be able to see this. But once you have it, you can click on it and add. You can see that I've actually already done this. So let's get rid of that. Let's say we just want it to be called privacy. I gotta type that right. Privacy. So that should give us /privacy. Say add, and then we can publish this. Let's see if we have an alias. Right, so I hit privacy and I'm coming to this page again because we have an alias set up. And it's not a redirect, it preserves my URL. So aliases, the only tricky thing with aliases is you'll have to make sure that if you want to get rid of them, they're a little tricky to get rid of. So if I hit remove, and I say okay, and then I publish this, and then you'll notice the alias still exists. So the reason for that is aliases are actually stored in this folder here. So we don't see any because I've removed them, but they still exist because this hasn't been published. So we just need to publish this folder to clear that alias out. So now if I go here, so now that gives me a 404. So that alias is no longer valid and has been deleted. And this page, this is our full URL. So that's aliases. That takes us to the end of lesson 5. So what have we learned in lesson 5? We learned how to add items by right-clicking and how insert options restrict what we're allowed to add as child items underneath other items. We added items by duplicating existing items, and this works well where there's shared content. We also did some item sorting using dragging as well as the sort controls. We renamed our privacy page, and we did a bit of showed you the URL, the connection between the URLs and the content tree, and how the names of items and the organization of items drives your page URLs. We also did a bit of work with content search using the quick search as well as the more refined search, and how to filter the search using facets. And then we did a bit of work with aliases, and I showed you how you can create simplified URLs using aliases. So that's lesson 5, and we'll see you in the next lesson.